Hey guys, what's going on? Paul here. Welcome back to another Cardano video. So fully back into it this week with lots of different content planned to come out. A few interviews with different projects building, as well as some stuff that I've planned myself. So if you're new, make sure you subscribe. This one we're going to concentrate on Cardano DeFi and the bit of a bull run it's been in for the last 2 to 3 months in terms of the individual projects, and especially over the last month there's been some very big moves from individual projects. We'll take a look at that. Any projects you're specifically interested in or holding yourselves, let me know down below, and some of the most common ones, maybe I'll do individual videos on them. Share the video out if you get value, you think others can benefit. Subscribe if you're new, I do appreciate it. Let's jump into it. Okay, kicking it off, taking a very quick look at Cardano TVL and where we stand right now. So you can see right now up to $165 million, still down from where we were back here just before all of the stuff with the SEC, because at that time the price of ADA tanked after that, and that brought the overall TVL down, but really starting to creep up. And if you look at it in terms of ADA, so this is the total value locked for protocols on Cardano measured in terms of ADA, and you can see setting new highs all the time with I think 580 million ADA in TVL right now. And if you look at that in terms of including staking, which doesn't include ADA staking but includes staking on them individual protocols, then we're up to, what is that, 719 million worth of ADA in there when you include staking. The individual protocols that make that up, you can see MinSwap is still number one with over 50 million worth of TVL. Indigo nearly 35 million, doing extremely well over the last while. Finance only 2 months live on the mainnet, or not even 2 months just yet. You can see up to third place with 23 million worth of TVL. I need to get my tutorial out for Wi-Fi maybe this week, or if not early next week. Indigo and Liquid are two that I need to put out some tutorials and some updates on both of them protocols too. Liquid in fourth with over 20 million now, doing very well. And if you're following the LQ token, you'll see it started to gain a bit of traction over the last month. You can see the protocol here for TVL up 22%. Following up then, MuesliSwap, another one where their individual token Milk has been doing extremely well. And then you have Zed, Wing Riders, World Mobile, AADA, which is now LenFi. I had an interview with the LenFi team last week with Mantis. That one, I will leave a link to that down below. And then SundaySwap rounding out the top 10. So moving over then to see where we sit in terms of all blockchains. If you come down here, you can see Cardano is in 17th right now, with the last month being up nearly 12.5% in terms of overall TVL. Now, when you look across the top 10 here, you can see that Cardano has outperformed all of them in terms of the increase in TVL. Obviously, when you look at the overall numbers, things like Ethereum, Tron, BSC have massive numbers compared to where Cardano is, but Cardano is growing all the time. And if you start to dive a bit deeper into what's happening on the smaller scale right now, then you can see where the path could potentially go in the future. Okay, so let's take a look at TapTools then. Take a look at some of the individual projects and what's been happening over the last 7 days and 30 days on a bigger picture. So maybe I'll start doing this video again every Monday going forward, looking at the tokens to see what's happening, what are the movers, what are the shakers, because now things are really starting to move in terms of tokens. If we look at the trending tokens for the last 24 hours, Iagon IAG is up 36%, and over the last week and 30 days this token has been doing phenomenally well. They've become a lot more active over on social media, a lot of people starting to really talk about them. If you haven't heard about it, maybe it's one I should probably do a deep dive video, or try and get the team on if they're interested in, to have a chat about it and everything that's going on with the project. LenFi, which was AADA Finance, is now LenFi. I had Mantis on the channel last week to talk all about what they're doing. Their testnet for pooled lending should be out today, so I'll leave a link to that interview below for anyone who wants to check it out. Then you have Snake, Cherry, Min and CTV. But if we look over the last 7 days to see what are the big movers, what you will start to notice is liquidity is starting to grow for lots of different tokens. If you look at some of my earlier videos, maybe a few months ago when we were looking at TapTools, and you notice the liquidity wasn't great or the volume, but these numbers are definitely starting to pick up. Iagon for the last 7 days is up 56%, but over the last 30 days, it's up over 1,000%. And you can see liquidity is starting to look fairly decent too. Look, if you take these numbers and look at them across other chains, they're still a bit on the small side. But in terms of where we were a few months ago to where we are now, Cardano is definitely growing and lots more interest starting to come into these projects. Next up, you have Meld up 42%, Flak up 31%. And over the last 30 days, Flak is really starting to gain some traction with up 337% now, and liquidity really starting to grow too, which is a good sign. Rejuve is liquidity isn't great. It's not DeFi, so we won't go into it here. But again, always keep in mind the liquidity, how much is there, because if there isn't much liquidity, it doesn't take a massive amount to actually really move the token price. LenFi, we've talked about this. This is ADA and still up 84% the last 30 days. NTX up 22% in 7 days. Milk has cooled, even though it's still up 14% in the last 7 days, it has cooled down a bit in that 7 days, because if you look at the chart, you will see over the last 30 days, it's up 246%, and Vi Finance up 164% in 30 days. And again, like Milk, has cooled down slightly in the last 7 days, but still up against ADA, which is good to see for these individual projects. So if we take a look at the chart for some of these projects then, if we look at Iagon first, just to see what's actually happening and how quickly, I suppose, this has happened in the market. If you look back here, the 18th of June, so less than a month ago, this token was down at 0.27, 0.25 ADA, and now it's sitting at 0.28, was over 0.3 there probably just an hour ago, but lots of volatility in it at the minute. So that's over a 10x in a month. This is coming in a time that the price of ADA is down, down about 15-16% in the last 30 days, but there's lots of opportunities out there. Now, I'm not saying that you should start to jump into tokens that I talk about here that have had this massive run up. These are examples of what is possible and what's possible when FOMO starts to kick in. So for me personally, I'm looking at a lot of the DeFi side that hasn't really kicked off yet, or has started to see a bit of this and starting to look to put some of the portfolio into them. If the projects that I think are solid and have had a really big run up, if they have a retrace, then I'll start to look to DCA into some of them types of projects as well. So don't FOMO in when you've seen these massive run ups, but also if you really believe in the project, then starting to DCA at different points isn't a bad opportunity either. If we look at the likes of LenFi, which is a ADA Finance, say this one has been a bit different in terms of it's been constantly growing all along. But if you go back to the middle of May, it was sitting at 3.6 ADA. It's gone up to 12 ADA now. So nearly, it's under a 4x gain since May. But if you go back to February, then it was sitting at 0.78 ADA. So that's over a 12x gain in that amount of time. So getting involved in projects that are building is a good opportunity. So for me, it's like you separate your portfolio. You have some that sits on a hardware wallet that doesn't move, is there for the long term, and then you have allocations for getting involved in what I would say is the slightly riskier side of things. Yes, these projects are riskier, but as you can see, the potential gains are fairly phenomenal too. Especially when you consider that overall the big sentiment is still that we're still not near the real bull market for crypto, but these types of gains, when you look at 5 to 10x, to me they are very bull market like gains within Cardano right now, within the ecosystem. If you look at the Indie token back here, the middle of May again, sitting at 4 ADA, now sitting at 11 ADA. Even when you consider the price of ADA is down, you're still way up on that. And actually within Tap Tools, you can look at that. So if we look at the USD value of this, you can see back the middle of May was sitting at around $155, now sitting at $332. So even taking that into consideration, it's still a 2x in the last kind of just less than 2 months, maybe 50 days for the Indie token. There's lots of examples like that. One thing I would say on Tap Tools to take a look at if you have Tap Tools Pro is money flow. And maybe it's something that if I start doing these weekly, we can start to look at the trends. So people who don't have Tap Tools Pro might be able to get some insights into it too. So if you look here, the whales right now, so you can filter this by wallet size to see what's actually happening or where are they putting their money. So where are they taking money from and where are they putting it into? So you look at wallets that have 1 million plus ADA, over the last 7 days, the trend has been taking money out of MinSwap, out of World Mobile, AGIX, Milk, and putting it into Meld, NTX, SNEC, and you can see Milk as well, some funds flowing out of that one. But if you look at this in contrast then, so you can look at this on different time frames. So if you're looking at the bigger picture, maybe you're looking at longer time frames. If you're looking for maybe quick flips, following some of the big guys, the trend that they're doing, you're concentrating a lot more active in the markets, maybe 24 hours to see what's happening day to day would be for you. But if you go from the big whales to 250k to 1 million wallets to see the trend here, you can see looks slightly different on this side. You can see people flowing out of Indy, so they have lots of profits in Indy from the last few months and flowing into Iagon, Milk, SNEC, LenFi, Sunday, CBLP. And again, you can do that with all of the different wallets here. So depending on who you want to match your trading to, you can look at this and get the idea of the overall flow. So again, you can look at this on 24 hours. So in the last 24 hours, you can see a lot of FOMO happening with IAG at the minute, and lots of people starting to move into that. Indy, even though it's saying here the sell-off, if we look at this, actually, you'll probably be able to visualize it. If we look at the chart for Indy, now this is coming up in USD, so we'll just change it back to ADA to have a look at this. So you can see, yes, over the last day, there has been a bit of a sell-off. So people who have probably been involved in Indy for a long time now, starting to take some profits and seeing what's happening in other projects, starting to spread the funds around. For me, if I was looking at Indy right now, still very much in consolidation. If we hold 11 ADA for Indy, to me, that would be very bullish. This would be your consolidation, waiting for the breakout up above that. So anyone holding Indy, 11 ADA is where I would look. Some of the other tokens right now, I would say still maybe a little bit early to start looking at the technical side of things. Projects that might only be out 1 or 2 months, then you can't really tell much of the levels from earlier on. So lots of them are in what we'd say is price discovery mode. So another month or two, then you'll be able to start to look at the history and gain a bit from that too. Hopefully this video has helped open up your eyes to Cardano DeFi is moving. Lots of opportunities out there, and maybe on a Monday going forward we'll dive into this if people are interested. Let me know below, as well as the projects that you're personally holding right now. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon.